WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Heal Yourself Show with Doctors Jonathan Chung and Greg Jean-Pierre of Keystone Chiropractic in Wellington and the Upper Cervical Institute of Florida. Dr. Chung and Dr. Jean-Pierre are chiropractors with a focus on correction of the upper cervical spine. Together, they have worked with some of the leading doctors and health experts in the country and have helped thousands of patients regain their health from a variety of chronic health problems related to the structural alignment of the head and neck. Dr. Chung and Dr. Jean-Pierre have authored and published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. They've also been featured speakers around the country on topics ranging from head injury, chronic pain, spinal health, and fitness. Their goal is to teach you how to unlock the doctor within and heal yourself. Join them today as they share their passion for serving families and helping people who could not get better through traditional and alternative means. Call the Heal Yourself Show at 888-565-1470.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Heal Yourself Radio. I'm Dr. Jean-Pierre, and alongside with me here today, once again, is Dr. Johnny Chung. And again, the premise of the show is that the body is a self-healing, self-regulating, self-adapting mechanism. And what we want to teach people is to tap into the doctor within themselves so they are able to heal themselves properly. So today's topic is whiplash, so let's get right into it.
And this is Dr. John Chung, tuning in as always with my partner in crime, Dr. Greg Jean-Pierre, and I think that today's topic is actually one of the most important topics that we can talk about, especially in the great state of Florida, where we know that everyone here is such an amazing driver and no one ever gets into car accidents.
Ever get an accident. And again, folks, this is a live show, so your comments, questions are welcome. The number here is 1-888-565-1470, 1-888-565-1470, and you can always watch us live on the internet at healyourselfradio.com. So healyourselfradio.com. Okay, so let's get into it. And again, just like you mentioned, we have the best driving system out there. It actually gets better now since the snowbird are not here. But whiplash is a big thing. And just this morning, I had a patient that came in for some issues, and I asked her many times whether she had any accidents, injury, or fall, and she said no. And then I took the x-rays, and there was a lot of arthritis there. I'm like, well, based on this amount of arthritis, there had to be something. He's like, oh, well, yeah, I've had like 3 or 4 car accidents, but they were minimum, like 15 miles per hour, not a big deal. So tell me about, a little bit how something as insignificant as that can actually cause this type of arthritis or cause whiplash.
Well, I think one of the things that we always have to remember is that in car accidents or falls of any sort, you're dealing with a lot more force than just the body itself. So, for example, when you're dealing with a car, you're literally having an object that weighs thousands and thousands of pounds that's running into your vehicle that's weighing thousands of pounds. Now, that force is going into the car, but people forget that the force is also going into everything that's in the car, including the human being that's sitting inside of it. And when people have that force going forward and they whip their head back, it's creating a tremendous amount of force into the spine. And they're actually showing that in some research that, as much as 3 or 4 G's of force is going into the spine, even from really small accidents. Yeah. So think about what 3 or 4 G's of force can do to someone's delicate neck.
Yeah, and I think it's just like anything else. Whenever that happened, they figured it's a small accident. They walk away from it. They're not sore. They don't have any problem. So therefore, there is no issue. And they forget in the long run the kind of trauma that exists in the body. And over time, the toll that is going to take in the body.
And one of the things that's always really important to recognize is that when you get into an accident, when you have some type of fall that shakes up the structural alignment of your head and neck, that symptoms don't always show up right away, but damage can appear in the absence of symptoms. And just like the example you were talking about where, the patient never mentions any of the accidents that they had, but if you look at the x-ray, you can see, damage to the ligaments. You see that S-shaped curve that people have in their necks afterwards. And it's very clear that at some point in their life there was some sort of trauma that disrupted the normal alignment of the head and neck.
Right. So again, what is exactly whiplash? I mean, it's a term that everybody hears about, and we associate it with car accidents. But I know it can happen more than just car accident. But what is it exactly?
So when we go into what a whiplash is, and the diagnosis is actually pretty vague from a medical standpoint. Basically, it means that there's some sort of tissue injury to the ligaments or the muscles of the head and neck. So a lot of people call it a cervical sprain strain, and it could actually happen into the actual lumbar spine as well. Now what happens is when you have a force that shakes up the head and neck like that, it doesn't have to be from a car accident. It could be just falling from a high enough place where your head rocks back and forth really fast. The acceleration of your head and neck and the sudden stopping of the head and neck will actually cause ligaments to stretch out of place, and it will also irritate and inflame the muscles that connect the bones of your head and neck together. And when you have that sudden stoppage, that spraining of the ligaments in your neck can create pain, of course, and then of course all the inflammation building up into your neck can build pain as well. So what I like to compare it to is, everyone knows what an ankle sprain is like, right?
Right.
So you jump up in the air, you trip on someone's foot, you fall, and then all of a sudden all those ligaments inside of your foot get stretched out way beyond it's supposed to. The body has a very intelligent response to this. It sends a bunch of white blood cells, it sends blood into the area, it sends heat in the area, and it locks everything down. The side effect of that, though, is a lot of pain, but it's pain that you need to go through. So the same thing that happens in your neck. When you have a whiplash injury, it's like having a sprain of the neck, and that's what creates a lot of these problems.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned different causes of whiplash, and the one that most people are familiar with is the car accident. But again, it's important to understand that a lot of things that would shift your head out of position can cause whiplash, sports injuries, a fall, or simply horsing around and somebody push you in your back and at a great force that can actually cause that. Now, one of the things that I've heard discussed, is it worse to get when you get an accident when you're anticipating it, or just not seeing it at all?
That is kind of the jury's out on that.
Because
really.
I've seen it both ways.
Yeah, because when you brace yourself, then all of a sudden you can suddenly have injuries to other tissues of your body. And if you just let everything loose, then of course you could stretch everything out beyond its normal levels. So, it's really a little bit inconclusive on that. The main thing to remember, though, is that anytime that you've had or even suspect that you might have had an injury, even if you have a little bit of pain that you think is going to go away, it's important to realize that when pain goes away, that there's still a problem there. And ultimately, I think the main problem with a whiplash injury is actually the subluxation that we deal with on a daily basis, because you can't have a force go into you at that level and not have the atlas shift out of place and create pressure on those nerves and arteries and blood vessels that are going into the head and neck.
Yeah, and that's why I always tell people, whenever you have an accident, whether it's minor or major, whether you feel pain or not, you need to have it checked, because again, a lot of time there is no symptoms involved with whiplash. You may feel sore the next day, you wake up in 2-3 days from now and it's gone, but that's just the initial pain, the initial side effect. But over time, it's just like a car. If your car's out of alignment, the tires are being worn down unevenly. When you get those whiplash and you don't have any symptoms, in the long run there's damages being taking place. That shift of that C1 vertebra creates a domino effect that misalign the entire spine. So even though we usually talk about whiplash and the neck, just like you stated earlier, it can actually have dramatic effect throughout the entire spine. So make sure that you get checked and don't wait so long, just like this patient waited so long and she came in with neck pain and headaches, but it had nothing to do with headaches right away. Things that happened a few years back with the multiple accident that didn't cause any pain or symptoms at that particular moment.
Definitely. So let's talk about some of the symptoms that are really common to whiplash. There's just some of the obvious ones. When you have a whiplash, everyone thinks about, oh man, your neck has to hurt when that happens. So you have neck pain. You could also have herniated and bulging discs that are a result of whiplash, and that's probably one of the most common ones that people associate with it,
right,
because those are the ones that people seek out attorney help and they seek out chiropractic help and medical help when they have those things. But some things that people also aren't aware of is that there's a higher incidence of fibromyalgia and chronic pain when people have a whiplash injury. There's also higher incidences of TMJ and headaches, and also some people will actually have post-traumatic stress disorder. and some other psychosomatic symptoms as well because of the trauma that they went through.
Yeah, that's important what you just said, because again, there is a lot of symptoms associated with that. But more specifically, one of the things that people don't think about, was your spine stable before the accident? Because if it wasn't, that's compounding more and more and more and more things, and you don't do anything about it. You get chronic illness, which may lead to more serious conditions. And just like we've covered in the past, MS and Parkinson's and fibromyalgia and all that stuff. So you really got to take in consideration what's going on with your spine, because when the brain and body connection is not there, it can lead to a lot of severe things.
Definitely. And it looks like we have a caller on the line right now, so we're going to go ahead and take your comments and questions. So if you want to call the line, it's 888-565-1470. I think we have Brian on the line. What's up, Brian?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm good. I had a random question for you. Not as young as I used to be, and I'm trying to play a little more basketball or some sports, and it's hurting my knees. Any advice you can give me about what I can do, before and after I play to try to, help the pain afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. How old are you, Brian?
I'll be 30 tomorrow.
All right. Happy birthday,
Happy
Brian.
birthday, Brian.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, here's your birthday gift. I'm going to lay some knowledge on you.
Well, I appreciate that.
So when you're playing a high-impact sport like basketball, it's important, especially once we get past our prime ages in our late 20s, that we really incorporate a really good warm-up. So it goes really beyond stretching. You want to do an active warm-up, so you want to get your jumping jacks, you want to get some air squats in, you want to get that knee mobilized, you want that knee moving before you take on any activity. And then you save the stretching and some of those activities for afterwards. What they're actually finding in research is that stretching can be detrimental before you start taking on high impact activities. It actually increases your rate of injury. So save the stretching and flexibility for after the fact. I've also heavily involved in the CrossFit world. There's a concept called mobility, and I would recommend you check out a website called mobilitywod.com. And there's actually a band that they sell on the website. It's called a Voodoo Floss Band. You could actually use that before and after basketball. You could wrap your knee, create compression in there, and you could actually flush out a lot of inflammation. And a lot of people feel like after they use the band that they have a new knee afterwards.
Yeah. And also, Brian, one of the things that, very close to what we're talking about, a lot of the time knee pain can absolutely be caused by the outlets being out of alignment, because for every degree that you off-center, that's about 5 pounds of pressure that you're putting on that side. So if you really off-center, if you've never gotten your spine checked and getting your outlets checked, you're probably putting more than 5 to 10 pounds of pressure on that knee itself. So then that's going to create a lot more degeneration, and throughout the basketball game, you're putting more pressure on that knee, which is going to cause the pain and symptoms. So yes, make sure you get the mobility on, but you want to make sure that also that your atlas and your spine is in proper position, so you're dissipating your weight evenly.
Okay. Any thoughts on how I can fix my jump shot, though? I'm just kidding.
Hours and hours of practice. Maybe if you get adjusted, your brain will be and your head will be on straight, and maybe you could take some better shots afterwards. But pass that message on to Dwayne Wade this offseason.
Yeah, it's not maybe, it will. Get your head on straight first. I think we have another caller.
Thanks, Brian.
Have a good one. Diane, how are you, Diane?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks to the doctor, I'm good anyways.
Awesome.
Yeah,
How you doing, Diane?
Testimony about Dr. Chung.
Okay, it's good to hear from you. You got something to share with us today?
Yeah, really two things. One is, when I first met Dr. Chung, I've been suffering for 20 years with a series of autoimmune illnesses. Scleroderma is one, lupus, fibromyalgia, and a few others. And I suffered with severe sinus headaches because of it, and nothing would help it. And they said, well, the scleroderma is thinning your bones and your sinuses, and that's what's causing it. Well, I went to Dr. Chung, and after the first session with him, I haven't had one since that session, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to just watch you change right after that adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, my sinuses were so severe, they go into my teeth and my gums. I mean, it's very severe. And just one session, and that cleared up, and it's been cleared up ever since. And I mean, that's just amazing. No medicine, no nothing, just going to Dr. Chung.
That's awesome, Diane. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. And the other thing was, just this week, I pulled something in my back, and being fibromyalgia, it's in my lower back, most of it, and it's normally hurting, but never this much. And it was probably a level of maybe a 9 for pain. And again, I went to Dr. Chung, and after he did his magic, it was down to a 2 when I walked out of the office.
That is amazing.
So,
Yeah,
Diane,
it's amazing.
a lot of our listeners don't really believe us when we say that you really don't feel that much during the adjustment. Can you go ahead and describe what you feel when you're in the process of getting adjustment?
That's the amazing part, because I've been to normal chiropractors or regular, old-fashioned ones, I guess you call them, or non-NUCA ones. And, you have the cracking, you have the pulling, but with this you don't. It's literally a tap on your neck. And a lot of times I'm like, well, are you doing anything yet? Because you cannot feel it. There is no pain associated with it whatsoever, even when I came in this week. And, I hurt from my neck all the way down to the back of my leg. And I did not feel him touch me any more than just how you would touch someone putting a Band-Aid on somebody. It was so light and it's so painless. It's just remarkable.
I think you even doubted that it was going to help you even after today, after being under care for almost 6 months now.
I know. And I'm kind of stubborn sometimes. Well, I have a really high pain threshold. So for me to be really exuberant about your practice and what you do is pretty good, because it takes me a long time to feel things because I've learned to block it out mentally.
Yeah.
Well,
So kudos to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate your phone call and sharing your story with people.
Oh, you're welcome. But you're the best place to go. The best money I've ever spent is on you as opposed to any other doctor.
Thanks. I'm blushing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is awesome. What a powerful testimony. And again, those of you that are listening, it almost sounds too good to be true. But every day in our office, people are coming in with things that you wouldn't traditionally go to a chiropractor for, but they've gotten the result for the simple fact that the purpose of the show and the name of the show is to heal yourself. As NUCA doctors, what we're doing is simply removing the interference to allow the body to do what it was designed to do. So in Diane's case, her body was always able to clear the scleroderma and fix the fibromyalgia, but because of something that she had in the past, there was interference, so you were able to remove that interference to allow the body to express itself to its maximum level, thus allowing the body to heal itself.
Absolutely.
That's just awesome.
A lot of people really do consider scleroderma and fibromyalgia and a lot of these other conditions to be untreatable. And I always like to say is that there's no such thing as an incurable disease. There's only such thing as incurable people.
Yeah.
So we just have to get people out of their own way and teach them to protect their spine, get their atlas clear, and we watch some magic happen.
Yeah, and then the terminology that we use is get your head on straight. But literally, the brain itself, a lot of time, if you believe it's not going to work, unfortunately, it's not going to work. But the adjustment is powerful enough to actually reset the nervous system to allow the body to heal itself. So, even if I've been doing this for almost 8 years now, I'm still amazed by the power of the nervous system. Every day when somebody come in, or somebody like Diane, testimony is just like, wow, the body really, really is able to do that, and a simple adjustment by taking the pressure off the nervous system is going to allow the body to do that. So it's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break over here, and when we come back, we're going to really talk about some of the really big implications from whiplash injury and how this really affects your brain and how it could lead to degenerative nervous system diseases, and we'll hit that up when we get back.
Awesome.
When was the last time you had your atlas checked? When your head and neck shift out of place, it can actually affect your whole body. Do you suffer from migraines, TMJ, dizziness, or chronic back and neck pain? If so, you may have an atlas problem, and you need a NUCA chiropractor. NUCA allows for a gentle and precise correction of your spine without any popping, twisting, or cracking associated with conventional manipulations. Call Keystone Chiropractic at 561-247-0044 and schedule a free consultation. Dr. Chung is one of approximately 300 doctors in the world trained in the NUCA protocol of spinal correction. Stop suffering. When your doctors can't determine the problem, you need to contact Keystone Chiropractic. We won't ask you to believe in chiropractic or commit to a lifetime of treatment. What we will do is show you what normal is, and we'll tell you how to get there again. We'll show you using precision technology that your spine has changed for the better, even after one correction. Then we'll show you the path for keeping it that way. If you are tired of constantly patching the problem and you're looking for a long-term solution that you can both feel and see for yourself, then a NUCA office is the right place for you. Once the foundation has been fixed, then we'll teach you how to keep it that way through customized recommendations designed for your spine so that the problem doesn't come back. What do you have to lose? Call today to schedule your complimentary consultation. If you call during the hour, we'll give you a $100 gift certificate to use towards your first visit. No questions asked. No commitments, just a conversation to see if we can help. 2 convenient locations in Boca Raton and West Palm Beach. Call Keystone Chiropractic today and end your days of suffering with chronic pain. Call us at 561-247-0044. Check out the website, healyourselfradio.com. That's healyourselfradio.com.
Are you searching for answers to your health problems? Are you looking for an alternative to harmful drugs and dangerous surgery? Have you tried everything else and figured this is just something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life? At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we provide you with a safe, effective, and natural approach to restoring your health and regaining your life. Dr. Jean Pierre will find the cause instead of masking the symptoms. Dr. Jean Pierre utilizes the most specific techniques in detecting and correcting the vertebral subluxation. At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we pride ourselves in providing you with the highest standards of healthcare for you and your entire family. The procedure is gentle, effective, and affordable for everyone. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 561-409-3594. That's 561-409-6594. Or visit our website at www.uci-fl.com.
And welcome back. So far, we have a really good show going on whiplash. So let's get into it. I think earlier I found this thing. We're talking about some of the symptoms of whiplash, and I found this that talks about the typical thing: the neck pain, neck stiffness, shoulder pain, headache, pain between shoulder blades, back pain, numbness and tingling, pain in the arms, pain in the legs, dizziness and lightheadedness, double vision, difficulty swallowing, pain in the wrist and hand, pain in ankles and feet, loss of memory, ring in the ear, pain in the jaw. And ironically enough, I have patients from all these things, and a lot of them have had injuries and car accidents, but they typically don't associate the little tiny 5-mile-per-hour accident that happened 5-10 years ago with a lot of these things. But obviously, based on the atlas being out of position in the accident, that can actually literally lead to some of these things.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, and some of that, I would say, has less so to do with the damage done from... It has less to do with the whiplash itself, and it has to do more so with the subluxation aspect of things. And the important thing to remember is, whiplash, a lot of those things will, like the neck pain and some of the symptoms, may start to just calm itself down. So let's just say you get into a car accident, you have a sore neck, it's a little bit hard to move. If you leave it alone for the next couple weeks, it's probably going to stop hurting after a little while anyway, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you don't have a problem stuck in your neck still as a result of that. What they're actually showing is that when you have damage from a whiplash injury, if you wait beyond about 3 weeks, there's a chance that you could have some permanent impairment from the damage from the whiplash itself.
Actually, I have numbers for that.
Really important to really get the neck checked out before you go down this road, because most people don't have a problem dealing with pain for the short term. For most people, it's like, all right, I'll just wait it out and I'll be fine. And that's an okay way to go about things. But a lot of people do have problems when something becomes chronic, when all of a sudden that crick in your neck won't go away for 6 months at a time, when the back pain that you have or the sciatica that you have is lasting for years, when all of a sudden you develop TMJ when you've never had TMJ before. that's when people start to have these problems. And you can really get a good jump on it by getting your atlas and your nervous system cleared out early on before those symptoms take hold.
Yeah, and I have a quick stat here that says little accidents can lead to big problems. At a 6% strain, the function of the nerves had decreased by 70% in 1 hour. And at 12% strain, the nerve was completely blocked after 1 hour, and minimal recovery can occur. So a lot of times these can happen right away, but sometimes, or majority of the time I should say, when you get a 6% strain, over time there's decrease of nerve function, decrease of mental impulses that can lead to things in the long run. So again, being here in South Florida, PIP and all that stuff is huge, but I always tell people you want to make sure that whoever you go see after your accidents, whether you have whiplash or not, that is taking care of you and not just taking care of the symptoms and trying to show disability for a case or not, okay? Because I see a lot of patients that says afterwards, well, I did see a chiropractor, I did see so-and-so, but I still have the pain. You got to make sure and do your due diligence and actually look into what you're getting, whether you're getting, taken care of for the disability or whether you're getting truly taken care of getting the subluxation out of the way.
Definitely, and I think that's something that we have to, face head on, because a lot of chiropractors do get a bad rap for milking the personal injury system and really caring more about the person's settlement rather than the person that's sitting in front of them. And that's why it's important that you find someone, if you're not going to go see a NUCA doctor, then find someone that genuinely cares about the fact that you're not getting better and is willing to do something about it. I think it's a good time for people to chime in and say, what's been their experience with chiropractic and share that. So if you've had an experience with a chiropractor after an accident, then give us a call, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of marketing that goes on out there. You see the phone numbers on billboards and you see the advertisements on TV run by attorneys. And they're saying a lot of things about, if you get into an accident, call this number and get your settlement. But what happened to, you got into an accident, you're hurt, who's going to fix you?
Yeah, and so that's a very sensitive topic, because while practicing in New York, I had a patient. I mean, he was a great patient. He always comes. He was feeling great, and I found out that he was a PIP attorney. And I'm like, well, you see a lot of people. How come you have never referred anybody here? And what he said was kind of like shocking, because it's like, well, the problem with that is if I referred people here, you would get them better. And I'm like, okay, isn't that the point? It's like, no, because the more disability I can prove, the bigger the case, the more money we make. And it's really important, because again, if you get an accident and you have an issue and you want to make the money, that's fine, but in the long run, the person that suffers is you, because if you don't get it fixed, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, you come out with a disease like fibromyalgia or trigeminal neuralgia. You just want to make sure, in every profession there is, it's big business out here with PIP. You go and you get the massage, you get the heat, you get the ultrasound, which is all designed to make you feel better, but you really got to find somebody that care about you and to get you back into proper position, get your life back, so to speak. In the long run, you might get better. That's the side effect of what we do in NUCA. You might actually get better, which may hurt your case a little bit, but that's up to you to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some other issues at stake here, is the fact that people don't know what to do after they get into a car accident. And one of the things that you have to do is, first and foremost, make sure that you're completely safe, especially if you're in a severe accident. If you need to go to the emergency room to get checked out because of the severity of it, then go to the emergency room and get checked out. It never hurts anyone to be extra cautious, to make sure that there's no broken bones, there's no dislocations, there's no bleeding in the brain. All those things are really important, because traumatic brain injury is also a common effect of getting to an accident and a whiplash injury. The second thing is, once you know that from an emergency standpoint that you're clear, then it's one of those times that we definitely recommend getting a good, thorough spinal exam to make sure that the spine is healthy and that the nervous system is working properly. Because the sooner that you catch that and you can clear that problem, it means you're going to decrease the chances of bad scar tissue forming on your neck. It's going to limit the ability for things like herniated discs to create some really bad problems for you. and it might give you the opportunity to get things healed up so that it doesn't progress towards a really bad disc herniation, which may lead to things like a surgery or spinal fusion or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times what I hear in my office is like, well, I did go to the emergency room, I did take the X-rays, I did the CAT scan, and everything was clear, so there was nothing wrong with me, and I went to the chiropractor, it felt good, but there was nothing wrong with me. So that is past, and that's not what's causing the problem. But the thing is, unless you really get to somebody that really cares about your body and really care about getting you better and take the proper step to evaluate the nervous system and really look at the atlas, everything's going to be negative. And it's the same story again and again, especially with me when I had my migraine. I did do all the steps and everything was negative, but yet I was still suffering from migraine. So again, there are a lot of qualified people out there. Whether you come to a NUCA office or not, make sure you find somebody that's not just about the PIP and the case and the insurance, but that really care about you, because in the long run, whether you get a settlement or not, you're going to have to live with yourself as far as your spine and your nervous system is concerned.
Yeah, and I remember I had a case, several years ago where, a patient came to see us after an accident, and she had done really well, and they had gotten substantially better afterwards. And, for whatever reason, she got pushed by her counsel and some other people to go ahead and get a surgical evaluation, and they got surgery on her, and then she ended up having, failed back surgery syndrome afterwards. And you have to be cautious about jumping into that, because while surgery may increase your likelihood of getting, a larger settlement out of it, if it's something that leads to a chronic condition that you're going to have for the rest of your life, is it worth it?
Right, and unfortunately, the lawyers, that's what they're looking for. The more disability, the more things that they can show, the better the case, and in some instance, the more money you're going to make. But again, I've seen people afterwards, is the money worth your health? Okay, so again, all we're saying is, once you get an accident, whether you have whiplash or not, make sure you have your nervous system checked. After you've gone through and make sure there's no life-threatening condition, there's no bleeding in the brain, find a competent chiropractor. If not, then I would highly recommend a NUCA doctor to do a complete evaluation of your nervous system to make sure that nothing has shifted out of position, the atlas is still where it needs to be. And again, just like I mentioned earlier, even prior to the accident, they might have had complicating factors beforehand that the accident is actually making worse. So definitely, and again, if you're listening, I would definitely hear your comment on that, especially if you've been in an accident and you did see a chiropractor. Please call here at 1-888-565-1470, 1-888-565-1470. We just want to hear what are some of the stories out there as far as that.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And another point before we go ahead and take on another commercial break, we just have to deal with the fact that when people go see a chiropractor and they have, nervousness about what they're going to get from a chiropractor's office, because you don't really know. You don't know how to identify a good chiropractor. And, that's something that, I'm always concerned about, because I'm very critical of making proper referrals. And, I'm always open to referring someone to another chiropractor if it's closer to your area. And, I just want to let our audience know that both you and I are open to referring to chiropractors in whatever area that you're in. And if you ever want to reach out to us, then, check out healyourselfradio.com, go into our bio page and check some of that information out. If you ever want to send us an email or hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, then, we'll respond to you and we'll guide you in the direction that'll send you to someone that we know will put your health first.
Yeah, that's a good comment, because I know we have a listening audience that goes all the way up, and I guess as far as Ohio. And so there's a lot of people that out there that's not close to us. Again, in the profession. So if you have any question about somebody that's closer to you, please send us an email, call us. It doesn't matter. We'll spend some time talking to you and find whoever it is that's closer that we trust to send you over and get a good spinal evaluation, a good nervous system evaluation. So let's take a break. And again, the number here is 1-888-565-1400. Give us a call. We'd love to hear about your experience.
Are you searching for answers to your health problems? Are you looking for an alternative to harmful drugs and dangerous surgery? Have you tried everything else and figured this is just something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life? At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we provide you with a safe, effective, and natural approach to restoring your health and regaining your life. Dr. Jean-Pierre will find the cause instead of masking the symptoms. Dr. Jean-Pierre utilizes the most specific techniques in detecting and correcting the vertebrae subluxation. At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we pride ourselves in providing you with the highest standards of healthcare for you and your entire family. The procedure is gentle, effective, and affordable for everyone. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 561-409-3594. That's 561-409-6594. Or visit our website at www.uci-fl.com.
When was the last time you had your atlas checked? When your head and neck shift out of place, it can actually affect your whole body. Do you suffer from migraines, TMJ, dizziness, or chronic back and neck pain? If so, you may have an atlas problem, and you need a NUCA chiropractor. NUCA allows for a gentle and precise correction of your spine without any popping, twisting, or cracking associated with conventional manipulations. Call Keystone Chiropractic at 561-247-0044 and schedule a free consultation. Dr. Chung is one of approximately 300 doctors in the world trained in the NUCA protocol of spinal correction. Stop suffering. When your doctors can't determine the problem, you need to contact Keystone Chiropractic. We won't ask you to believe in chiropractic or commit to a lifetime of treatment. What we will do is show you what normal is, and we'll tell you how to get there again. We'll show you using precision technology that your spine has changed for the better, even after one correction. Then we'll show you the path for keeping it that way. If you are tired of constantly patching the problem and you're looking for a long-term solution that you can both feel and see for yourself, then a NUCA office is the right place for you. Once the foundation has been fixed, then we'll teach you how to keep it that way through customized recommendations designed for your spine so that the problem doesn't come back. What do you have to lose? Call today to schedule your complimentary consultation. If you call during the hour, we'll give you a $100 gift certificate to use towards your first visit. No questions asked. No commitments, just a conversation to see if we can help. 2 convenient locations in Boca Raton and West Palm Beach. Call Keystone Chiropractic today and end your days of suffering with chronic pain. Call us at 561-247-0044. Check out the website, healyourselfradio.com. That's healyourselfradio.com.
And we're back on the air. It's Dr. Jonathan Chung here with Dr. Gregory Jean-Pierre. It's Heal Yourself Radio, and today we're talking about whiplash injuries. So what should you do after a car accident, and why should you do it? JP, what's an experience like for someone that comes into your office after a whiplash?
Okay, and again, I think we touched on that a little bit earlier. The very first thing to do, you just want to make sure that there is no life-threatening condition that's there. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a small accident. And my brother's a police officer, and the advice is always have a police report, just to make sure it documents everything. And if you have any doubt whether any part of your body hit that, whatever the case is, you want to get checked immediately. So go to the emergency if you have to. Make sure everything is working properly. Get everything checked out, and be mindful. I remember a few years back, my wife was in an accident, and the very first thing they wanted to give her was the shot to actually calm her down. Try not to do that, because the medications really, while they claim may decrease the inflammation, it may cause a lot more problem, because again, you're not able to gauge what's going on. And again, once all that is clear, find yourself a good chiropractor. I know most people would say, yeah, find yourself a good lawyer, but again, what is the lawyer going to do is going to build a case, and a lot of lawyers might lead you into places that they know for a fact that's going to help build the case, rather than taking care of you personally as to make sure there's no lingering effect in your spine.
Good. Well, looks like we have another caller here, so I think we have Brian on the line.
Brian, cool.
Hello.
Hey, Brian, what's up?
Not too much. I was just listening to your show, and I just had a question for you. So one thing I wasn't really sure about, I wanted to ask you. You guys keep talking about the Atlas and, car accidents and whiplash. But how does, like, a lot of people who have car accidents, including people in my family, they have a low back pain and other issues. What does the Atlas have to do with that? Like, how does NUCA or upper cervical care, like you said, how does it work?
That's a great question, and I have to apologize because we keep mentioning the Atlas, but we don't actually talk about why that is. And it's simple physics. Force always travel to the path of least resistance, and unfortunately the smallest vertebra in your spine is the atlas vertebra. So even if I were to come and punch you in your low back, what happened is the force travel to the atlas. It can't go up to the skull because the skull is pretty big. It knocks that vertebra out of position. It creates a domino effect that misaligns the entire spine. So often than not, you may have the back issue, you may have all the other issues, but it absolutely has to do with the atlas being out of position, and it's called the atlas because it literally holds your world. So when that goes out of position, it misaligns everything else, which later on leads to having back issues and stuff like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So no matter no matter what's going on, you're saying like that would be something that has to be addressed no matter what.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Again, when you go to a traditional chiropractor or any other doctor, when you mention that you have back pain, the very first thing they do is go straight to the back, but they don't go to the source of the problem. So they're literally taking care of the symptoms. And when you leave there, often than not, you feel good. But again, after a few days or so, it comes right back. It's just like, if you went home today and all the lights in the house were off and you were turning on the switch and nothing came on, obviously you wouldn't go around and switch all the light bulbs, but you would go straight to the source and go to the fuse box and make sure nothing is going on. So that's exactly, as NUCA doctors, what we do. Instead of going to where the symptom is, we go straight to the source, make sure everything is balanced, and majority of the time it's not, but by balancing that, it creates a domino effect that realigns the entire spine, restore the integrity of the nervous system to allow the brain to communicate properly and allow you to get better.
Got it. So you're saying that, based on what you just said, so you're saying that the nervous system is centrally controlled right in that area at the very top, or like how does that work? Like what's the relationship? I'm not really sure.
Well, again, the nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. So the way the body works is that the brain has to send signal from the top to the bottom to every blood vessel, organs, and glands in the body. Okay? So when that process is taking place without any interference, then you should be working properly. When the atlas is out of position, the atlas houses part of the brain called the brainstem. So that's the area where every single signal coming from the brain has to get through to get to the rest of the body, and vice versa. So when there's an interference because the atlas is out of position, and we're talking about a tiny misalignment can cause different problems, that in itself can not only cause back pain and stuff like that, but it can cause pretty much everything that we've been talking about for the past few months, because neurologically the brain's not able to communicate 100%. In some people it's back pain, neck pain, headache, but in some people we're literally talking about MS and Parkinson's and fibromyalgia and stuff like that. So that's why we focus on the atlas, because we're literally turning on your body, turning on the nervous system, removing interference to allow the body to gently and naturally heal itself, which is why what we do is more permanent and lasting, because we're going straight to the source of the problem.
I see what you're saying. So, okay, so even though you guys obviously take care of people who've had whiplash and accidents like that, and traumatic brain injuries, that's not really, the only reason to see you guys, I guess, right? Like, I thought, initially I thought this was like a treatment for that, but it's really for health in general, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brian, is that, we take care of people that have no symptoms, and we take care of people that have some devastating symptoms. And the truth is, just like your body needs clean air, and your body needs, healthy foods, and your body needs clean water, your body also needs high functioning through your central nervous system. And when there's a disruption to the nervous system's function, then lots of problems can happen. And, some of these common things like neck pain and back pain are just the end result of a nervous system that hasn't been working properly for a long time.
And that's why we make sure we tell you to make sure you have your proper nervous system balance in check, because, again, if you show up in a chiropractor's office and you have back pain, majority of the treatment is going to be focused on the back and getting you to feel better. But unless you address the cause of the problem over time, I see people 5, 10, 20 years down the line, and I take the x-rays and I'm looking at the outlets, and there's so much degeneration and arthritis there, and it's like, well, I did go see a chiropractor. Well, they were focusing on where the symptom was to give you relief, but not really focus on where the cause of the problem was, which is what we do when you come in the office.
I see what you're saying. So, what do you do? So in other words, like when you look at a person, like what do you look for that's different? Like, because I've been to chiropractors in the past, but what does Nuka do that would be different than them? Like, what couldn't any chiropractor just address my atlas?
No, because again, and when you come in the office and you can look at our website, it's something completely different. Because when you come in, and again, that may sound mean. I could care less what you come in with as far as back pain, neck pain, symptoms, and disease. What I'm specifically looking for is the atlas subluxation complex, which means there was some kind of trauma that misaligned that top vertebra in the spine, and that's putting pressure on the brainstem. So again, Nuka doctors are specifically trained to locate, detect, and remove any interference at that C1 vertebra. And there's different things that we do, specifically the x-rays, that tells us exactly how to bring that C1 vertebra back into position. And the great thing that we do that separates us from everybody else is that immediately after that correction, we're actually going to take those x-rays again. That we can clearly see, even before you leave the office, that we actually did something and the atlas is back into proper position.
Okay. I'm not sure. So that makes sense, but I'm not sure answering the question. Like, in other words, so when people have an accident, like a lot of times they get x-rays. But are they looking for the same thing as you on X-ray? Like, why would only a Nuka doctor find it? Like, are they analyzing it differently, or you see what I'm saying? Like, how do you know there's, an atlas subluxation or displacement?
Well, thanks for the phone call, Brian. I'm going to answer this last bit, and then we got to take on another caller. But here's the truth of the matter is, chiropractors can address the atlas. Nuka doctors just happen to have a very precise way of doing it, by taking three-dimensional x-rays, by using nerve system scans, by doing a very precise postural measurements, and we measure before and after. And that gives us the ability to do things very gently and subtly rather than putting a lot of force into it. So yeah, can another chiropractor adjust the atlas? Of course, and they do. But do all chiropractors have a method of doing very precise pre and post assessment using x-rays and other technology? Not everyone does that, and it's important that just depending on what results you want to get, you want to find, and what your goals are, that you find someone that meets those goals. I think we have Patrick on the line.
Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to say first that I love this show, and that this topic is really interesting. And I just had a question about minimizing the impact of whiplash. I was wondering if there's anything you could do when you're driving in your car to minimize the chance that you'll get a bad injury from whiplash, or to prevent it from happening. And I can take my answer offline. Thanks.
Thanks, Patrick. So one of the things that you can do to mitigate the effects of whiplash is, having your headrest at the proper height. When you have your headrest at a height that's bracing the head, you don't want it too low so that your head whips completely over the top of it. And that's one of the things that can help tremendously in preventing some of the backwards force of a whiplash. One of the other things as well is having a high level of abdominal bracing, and just pretty much while you're sitting in the car, you don't want your spine to be too loose, otherwise you leave it open to a severe sprain, and you don't want to be very rigid. But I usually recommend that people have about 20% engagement of their spinal and core muscles at any given time. That leaves their spine available to take on forces without taking on too much.
And the bottom line is the best thing you could do is avoid getting hit. So try not to get in the accident. Specifically, when it comes to October to March, when the snowbirds are here, try to avoid anybody that you can't see because they're so short. And but realistically, we really want to make sure that your core muscles are balanced. Make sure you have strong core, because a lot of time you can't avoid the accident. But the best way to minimize the injury is to make sure that your spine is actually in proper position to begin with. Make sure your core muscles are perfectly stable and things like that, because unfortunately none of us can actually avoid the accident itself. But if you better prepared or in a much healthier state and more healthy balance when the accident happened, you are better off. The chance of you getting better a lot quicker is greater.
And one of the things that I also like to mention is that a lot of people tend to have their neck turned or their body twisted during the impact, and that's actually a very bad position to have your spine in during a collision. So as best as you can, if you could keep all parts of your body facing in the same direction during an accident, then that's probably going to save you from some rotation shearing forces twisting up the spine and causing some really bad discs.
Don't be a crash test dummy.
So looks like we got about 10 minutes left in the show. I kind of want to just talk about a little bit about what we'll be covering next week, because it's also tied together with subluxation and with whiplash, and that's an issue that's prevalent with more and more people that I'm seeing in my office, and that's TMJ, or temporomandibular joint disorder. And it's something where people have chronic pain in their jaw, and it's creating headaches and a wide variety of symptoms for them.
Yeah, I actually, just like you, I see a lot of patients in my office, and there are a wide variety of treatments for that. And one of the latest one, and I have a patient, and hopefully I'll have her on next week. She used to take Botox shots, and that would block the pain. And but again, even with that, she would take a lot of Advil, a lot of medication to actually calm that. But again, we'll be able to talk about next week how balancing out the atlas and bringing that atlas back into position, how can that release some of the pressure and some of the pain of TMJ.
And one of the things I wanted to also talk about before we left is a problem called Arnold-Chiari syndrome. And there's a great researcher up in New York who's been doing a lot of work with car accident patients and the relationship with the neck. And it kind of provides a pretty good model for why so many patients with whiplash have such chronic symptoms afterwards. So basically, Arnold-Chiari is basically when a piece of the brain will actually start to descend lower and go into the neck, and it creates some really severe problems. A lot of people have things like dizziness, really bad headaches, balance problems, and they're actually starting to show that people who get into accidents have a higher rate of Arnold-Chiari than other people.
Yeah, and if you've ever been diagnosed with Arnold-Chiari malformation, a lot of things that they say to do, I think the surgical intervention for that is to literally go and open the skull and cut it up. And I've seen in some places where they actually cut the atlas open and just to kind of let it breathe. And it's so unnecessary, because we've seen patients with that we can actually release the pressure just by a gentle adjustment, specific adjustment, to bring the atlas back into proper position and align everything back to the vertical axis.
And one of the things that's related to all of this is a concept called central sensitization. And what that basically means is that your nervous system is way too sensitive, and this is a really common thing to happen after a traumatic injury. So between the Arnold-Chiari and between the central sensitization, it's the difference between when someone, comes over to you and starts rubbing your shoulders, that causing severe pain, to that feeling good. If your nervous system is primed to feel severe pain, then that's going to create a lot of symptoms and problems where there's no physical deformity in that area.
Yeah, and just as I'm listening to you, and I'm just going back to that caller, we mentioned the nervous system a lot, and it almost seems like the nervous system is the cure for everything. But I just wanted people to understand that the nervous system is really what drives everything about you. The fact that you can hear us right now, the fact that you're doing what you're doing, the nervous system is the key. So in the office, really, what we focus on is balancing out the nervous system by removing interference to allow the body to gently heal itself. So a lot of things that we talk about, and some of the things that we're going to continue talking about over the next weeks and months, is balancing your nervous system, removing interference to allow the body to heal itself. But we'll bring you some of the science behind it as well, and how NUCCA can help with some of these things.
Definitely. And that's when we're going to be talking about how all of these concepts actually are interrelated with TMJ. We're also going to bring on a TMJ expert, so she's going to talk about her approach to treating TMJ and how NUCCA and what a field of dentistry that's called neuromuscular dentistry really work together to give a lot of these patients some great results.
That's awesome. And again, next time, today we had a lot of callers, and we really, really appreciate it. And the more callers, the better, because again, we come on the show with a specific topic in mind. But if you have something that you have a question about, and you please give us a call. And of course, we are available in our office. Go to the Heal Yourself Radio website, healyourselfradio.com. You can always shoot us an email on Facebook or on Twitter. We're more than happy to hear from you and answer any questions, because I know some people don't want to be heard on the radio, but feel free to call, and don't forget to take advantage of the $100 gift card that we're offering for you to come in and just have a consultation and see if there's something that we can do in our office to help you.
Good. So one of the other things that's a hot topic today that I wanted to bring up is the World Cup. Everyone's talking about Team USA and what's going on with the World Cup. One of the things that I also noticed is that they actually had a chiropractor on the sidelines who was adjusting people during during the World Cup. And one of the things that actually hit the headlines recently was the impact of heading the soccer ball and how it affects traumatic brain injury and chronic traumatic encephalopathy for a lot of these athletes who have repetitive hit blows to the head.
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer, and this research or this controversy has been going on for years and years and years. And I remember a few years back they talked about having the soccer players wear helmets. But again, that ball is traveling at a high rate, at a high velocity, and hitting that ball in your head. I mean, if you've never done it before, it can be traumatic the first time, leaving you a headache. But again, it's no surprise that they have a chiropractor at the World Cup, because pretty much every sporting event nowadays have a chiropractor there, because they understand that not only gives you the competitive edge, but it really allows your body to work at its optimal level, balancing out the nervous system to allow the body to really perform at its best.
Yeah, and all those repetitive blows to the head with the soccer ball, that's just causing this disruption in CSF and all these other cascades and bringing chronic inflammation to the brain. It's really remarkable that these athletes can perform at such a high level while putting their body through so much stress.
The athletes, that's what they do. And on that note, I'm really hoping that that everybody support on Tuesday as the U.S. goes against Belgium. So let's go USA.
Absolutely, and today was probably one of the happiest moments you'll see U.S. fans for a loss. So we got to thank Ronaldo and the Portugal team for bailing us out of this one today.
Let's do it.
All right. Well,
before we leave, I just wanted to send a shout out to LeBron James for hopping out. He's going to hop in, and LeBron is a really good personal friend. Okay, I'm just making all this up, all right? But again, a lot of the Heat fans that are following the news out there, let's not get discouraged. We're going to get our big three back, and we're going to be a solid Heat team that we've been in the past few years.
And someone get Dwayne Wade back in the office. Obviously, his body needs to be able to heal itself again. Well, it's been a great show. We had a lot of fun, and we got a lot of engagement through a lot of our callers. We got a couple minutes left, so...
by the way, people, we still have some gifts to give out, and even though we're running out of time, if somebody can call within the next minute, we'll give out those gifts. But if you're interested, make sure you give us a call next week at 1-888-565-1470, 1-888-565-1470. We have some interesting gifts as far as CrossFit membership from the Golf Superstore. We have a free lesson, we have a free membership, and we have a $25 gift card. So give us a call next time. The first 3 people that call get one of each gift, and come join us here next time, same place, and we'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow us and send us any questions that you may have, or call the office and come take advantage of that $100 gift card that we're giving away.
So check us out, healyourselfradio.com. I'm Dr. Jonathan Chung, and this is for Dr. Greg Jean-Pierre. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Join Dr. Jonathan Chung and Dr. Greg Jean-Pierre each week on the Heal Yourself radio show every Thursday at 5 p.m. Listen each week as they interview leading health experts to provide you with comprehensive and natural solutions to make your body work at its best and solve chronic health problems. Right here on 1470 AM, the Health and Wealth Network. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.